WIFTV-PM.
Chris the Critic Relationship Hour with Gina B. Why you are not married. Number one, you ain't all that. I know that's hard for y'all to swallow. I don't look as good as my 22-year-old self. People need to realize that. You just ain't all that. And I get it. I got this master's degree. I went to this school, that school. I worked hard for this job, for this house. And then she over there got that man, and you don't have one. Men are very simple creatures. So, ladies, for you very accomplished ladies, I got some advice for them.
What's that?
I always say it like this. You can write this one down. Be a kitten, not a cat. What does that mean, Chris?
What does that mean?
You ever played with a kitten? It's real friendly. It almost acts like a puppy. And you want to play with it. You want to come look at the little kitty. It just makes you feel good. Now, have you ever seen an adult cat? When it feels like it, it might rub against your leg and move away. But is that men like kittens?
Kittens will play with anybody. A cat is particular.
Listen, what did we learn? Men are very simple creatures.
Right.
You can fool us. We want you to laugh at our dumb jokes. So all you super smart women out there, you good-looking women, you see a guy you like, you guys do make it out on a date. He actually pays for the date. When you're actually with that person, the dialogue is happening, the dinner is happening. You say, okay, this might work, this might work. It would help if you act a little blind.
Oh, my God, Becky.
I mean, you're going to hear me say that a lot. Be nice to him. You hit the worst joke ever. But if you sort of like them, laugh at it. There you go. Hey, it's a lot of married women out there. If we got any married women chiming in.
Look,
if I'm telling a lie.
That one's a fake laugh.
Let me know. Right.
What you're saying is that we should cater to the male ego, and that's what's ultimately going to get us married.
I'm first saying recognize that I think some of us, more women than men, look in the mirror. You ever seen a little lion look in the mirror and see somebody real big? They see somebody a little more fine than what they are. And I'm not calling anybody ugly, so I'm not here to bash anybody.
Let's look at Middle America, okay? Middle America is not attractive.
They're not?
Middle America is largely married.
Okay, I think we're on the same page then. People sort of, we get stuck to reality shows sometime and think we're supposed to have, I got a degree in a house, so I'm supposed to have Idris Elba or his twin.
Well, I mean, if you notice, okay, so you remember your friends from high school, right? And you remember how they had all of these qualifications for, if she's going to lock me down, she got to be this, that. She's got to have an ass like bam.
That's all we really looked at. Stop right there. You had me at. That's really, what are men? Simple creatures. We want to be fed. We want you to laugh at us, give us some, and that's it. To get us.
Drew, why you be doing the boys like that, putting them all in their feelings? I don't know. Shit, I can't help it. Nah, cause I be riding in the new whips. Yeah, and shitting on these haters. Yeah. They say I got a problem, huh? Keep banning these foreign whips. Why you doing like that? They say I got a problem. Cause I keep a bad bitch. Don't flag. They say I got a problem, huh? Fucking these racks up. Don't do like that. They say I got a problem, huh? I stay designer down. They say I got a problem. Yeah. They say I got a problem. 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 Pulling up a new whips. Yeah, I got a problem. 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 Stay drilled up in the lace. New whip, new bitch. Pockets full, walk with a limp. Ballin' on you niggas like Sean Kemp. New stick, got it on my hip. Stay drip down, keep a bad bitch. My crib, filled with muscle wheels. Young flat nigga, rockin' skinny jeans. Balenciagas on my feet. Pulling up, I'm flicking on them. All the jewelry on me, water dripping on me. My jewels bright like chandelier, like bad bitch. I ride fat whip. Got niggas mad with some sad face, cause I came up, started from the bottom. No hand out, got it on my own. Was a team player, but they ain't show love. Put the niggas on, team full of boss. I'm a flat nigga, yeah, I stay sauce. Yeah, I stay fly, yeah, it's every day. Yeah, I got a problem, can't hear myself. I fuck designer women, I drive out of whip. Smoke the best weed, party on yachts. Heard niggas hate, cause a nigga winning. Caught the new whip, got a many feelings. I'm a big dog, pop my shit. Got some young niggas, that's with the shit. When I'm in the club, I'm standing out, sitting over attention. My jury loud, it's a light show. Hope my wrist up, just lit it up. Bought a steady cup, all my bitches love me, all my niggas hustle. Don't love these hoes, I ain't with the cuff. They say I got a problem, huh? Keep banning these foreign whips. Why you doing like that? They say I got a problem, cause I keep a bad bitch. Don't flag. They say I got a problem, huh? Fucking these racks up. Don't do like that. They say I got a problem, huh? I stay designer down. They say I got a problem, yeah. They say I got a problem. 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 Pulling up a new whips. full, had to double up. They say I got a problem, huh? Keep banning these foreign whips. Why you doing like that? They say I got a problem. Cause I keep a bad bitch. Don't flex. They say I got a problem, huh? Fucking these racks up. Don't do it like that. They say I got a problem, huh? I stay designer down. They say I got a problem, yeah. They say I got a problem. They say I got a problem. They say I got a problem. They say I got a problem.
WIFTBPM.
Live from What's in It for the Black Media Studio, you're listening to The Bigs with Eugene McIntosh and Terrence Tomlin.
Let's begin now.
What's going on, everybody? You know what that song means. It means it's time to jump down on the soil with your favorite independent sports media co-founders, right?
Hey, look, bro. Go ahead and spit that lit, man.
Co-founders of the illest independent sports media outlet in the land. You are now tuned in to The Bigs. I am your man, Terrence Tomlin. Y'all can call me T-Tom. Coming to you as usual with my player partner, the one and only Eugene McIntosh.
What denoun finu?
Yes, sir, man. How you feeling on this beautiful Monday, man?
Man, I cannot complain, brother. Happy to be here. Happy to tap in with the people, man. You know, it's a joy and a pleasure to be in the building with the What's in It for the Black People media. Christmas is Friday. DJ is in the building holding it down behind the boys. We got the great Esco back there aiding and assisting.
Yes, sir.
And, man, you know how it is when we lock in, bro. It's a fabuloso.
Man, you know what? I literally, just had one of those moments, bro, where I'm like, man, it is such a blessing to be doing what I've always wanted to do. Once again, kicking off another week with the What's in It for the Black People media family. One of my best friends, Eugene McIntosh, holding it down for the Bigs, man.
Hey, man.
We got a great show in store for you guys today, man. We got the one and only Scoop Jackson joining us at 1:30 to talk the 2020-2021 NBA season, which starts on Wednesday, right?
Starts tomorrow, actually.
Tomorrow, right around the corner, man. The NBA is back. No more wondering what's going on. Hey, they pushing the guys out there is back to the hardwood, you know?
Hey, man. Go on, get our money, man. Go on.
You know what it's about.
All right, $40 million slaves. If you ain't never read the book, go pick it up and do the knowledge. But I'm happy to see the NBA back. I'm an avid fan. I love to see the guys put that work in. I'm interested to see the storylines kick off, interested to see who's going to get off to a fast start, interested to see how the whole COVID situation is going to affect the whole league without this bubble.
That's first and foremost for me. Yeah, I mean, I know that the NBA was able to kind of set a standard, I thought. I was about to say over the summer, but it wasn't over the summer. It was more like in the fall.
Yeah, man, just a couple months. They said the last game was before the last Lakers game when AD and LeBron made their first preseason appearance, they said it had been 72 days since the last NBA Finals game.
Wow. So, yeah, man, I feel like it's going to be completely different without the bubble and them running through all the COVID stoplights. I mean, I feel like we're going to see more of an NFL display when it comes to the COVID situation.
Meaning a lot of positive tests coming?
Positive tests, but no canceled games.
Oh, hell no. They lost $500 million last year. That ain't happening this year. We're going to get through these 72 games regardless.
That's still so crazy, to be witnessing, man, because, on one end, we've been watching college basketball, but then here in Chicago, DePaul can't even go. You feel me?
They going to get their first game Wednesday against Western Illinois, man.
My bet is absolutely not.
Man, I mean, come on, bro.
If for anybody that has gotten those media announcements for DePaul on Fridays and Saturdays, it's been crazy. First you get, okay, we're going to have the Zoom. Then 20 minutes later, you say the Zoom is canceled. 30 minutes later, you say the game is canceled.
Yeah.
And then the next week, we're trying to reschedule. Look, man.
You see a team like Illinois 5-3, and then you see DePaul 0-0.
0-0.
Like, damn,
how does that affect the rest of, NCAA? You know, does it get to a point where they going to have to, you know, stop things?
I mean, I feel like they can just go ahead and just do conference play because at the end of the day, not that's all that matters, but, I mean, you can gauge a team's worth in a number of games. You don't need 30-plus games to gauge a team's worth as far as being tournament-worthy and things like that. I feel like as far as conference play, that goes into being able to play and rank in, you know, conference tournament play at the end of the season. But all the exhibition, what we would call exhibition games, non-conference games, they're not that necessary. Those are really just tune-ups, fine-tuning yourselves to get into conference play. But I'm with you, man. They ain't canceling nothing. College basketball is even probably more big business than the NBA. So they ain't canceling nothing. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, the NBA, the COVID situation, and really, you know, what we were talking about before we got here, man, the NBA is really just the greatest soap opera there is right now.
Hey,
like,
man,
there's so many storylines.
The women, they got the Real Housewives, and back in the day when we was growing up, they had, you know, One Life to Live.
Shout out to Shawnee O'Neal.
Yeah, you know, One Life to Live and All My Children and General Hospital and all that.
Luke and Laura and all of that.
Yeah, man. The fellas, we got the NBA, man.
100%, man. What's going on with Harden? Is Westbrook going to fit in Washington? Is Kawhi a diva in for the Clippers? What the hell is going on with Paul George? You know, it's so many things going into this season that I feel are conversation worthy. But we're going to pick our favorite ones, man, to discuss them with a legend, man. I feel like On the Soil has become a place where legends can come and chop it up. You know what I mean?
100%. That's what we're here for, man. And who more legendary than Yoda himself, Scoop Jackson, man? If it wasn't for Scoop, man, it wouldn't be brothers like me, you, Brian Crawford, Sean Davis. Let me name all our guys, man. Cam
Smith.
Chris Kaysen.
Yes, sir.
C4. I don't want to leave nobody out, but those are the main guys who we've come in contact with, and we know. Even Jack Silverstein.
Oh, yeah, family.
You know, many guys who Scoop has definitely blessed and you know, passed down some serious knowledge to. So it's only right that we pay it forward and bring that brother back so he can kick the ballistics. He was on I Said What I Said about a month and a half ago, and they had a different type of discussion. So we're going to bring Scoop here. We're going to chop it up for a minute, but we're going to get it, you know, we're going to chop some trees down, man, and get into it.
Come on. You know, every time we get Scoop around, we got to pick his brain. You know, we got to get some gems, you know?
Hey, shout out to the people tuned in, man, everybody out there watching on Facebook,
yes,
YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, wherever you are tuned in to, man, On the Soil with the Bigs. We much appreciate it, man. I see my boy Marvin Bell out there sending 500 stars to the brothers. Tiger Lily, Devin, Christian Pollard, Alvin Norton. These are the Facebook people that I'm seeing. Big Bro in the building. Can't see anybody on YouTube right now, but shout out to everybody that's tuned in. We much appreciate it. And
hey, let them know the rules.
Man, you know the rules, man. When you On the Soil with the brothers, man, we need y'all to smash that like button, smash that share button. Hit the comment section, join the conversation, continue to help me and T grow On the Soil. Help us over here, What's in It for the Black People Media, continue to grow the network and push our content and push the culture forward, man. We got out here, and we always talk about having a black voice in the field, but having a black outlet and a black network. And like T started the conversation, we're not just co-host of On the Soil. We are co-founders of an independent black sports media outlet who have done numbers in the last 5.5 years. We've done a bunch of good things, and it's only the beginning, man. We got a lot in store. We got a lot in store, especially for 2021. We got something special for the people coming up in maybe the next 12 hours.
Exactly, not even 24.
Yeah, man. So
yes, sir.
Be on the lookout for the brothers, and yeah, we appreciate you guys tuning in, man. Y'all could be anywhere doing anything, but you're taking time out of your day, whether you at work, out in the field, or whether you at work at the crib, or if you just chilling at the crib, you could be doing whatever, but y'all are On the Soil, rocking with the bigs, and that's the meaning of being on the soil, man. Starting from the bottom and making something out of nothing, bro.
Absolutely, man. I'm looking at the comments and I'm seeing First-time listeners checking in. Shout out to Audrey Howard jumping down on the soil.
Appreciate
for the
you,
very
family.
first time. Sure, you're going to enjoy this one, man. We got the one and only Scoop Jackson coming up in just about 10 minutes. I'm really looking forward to this one, and I think I don't know if I've ever told you this story. I don't know if I've ever told Scoop, but man, it was Scoop Jackson by way of an article that helped me decide what I wanted to do, as far as a career, man. I'll never forget, I was a sophomore at Morgan State University. One of those late nights, I must have been up, rolling up, listening to some Spitter, bro. You know how it was back then. Reading at the same time, and it was the launch date of ESPN Chicago.com.
Okay.
And Scoop had the inaugural piece. It was about why Chicago sports, or why people in Chicago are so passionate about Chicago sports, man. And the piece moved me to a point where I had to get up and go knock on my twin brother's room, who was my roommate at the time. I told him, like, bro, I know exactly what I want to do. You know what I mean, with my career, G. I'm like, check this piece out. Scoop went crazy. He completely captured the passion of Chicago sports. And honestly, I was in between wondering if I had some opportunities brewing in Baltimore at the time. I'm like, do I stay here or do I plan on going back to the crib?
Right.
After that piece, man, it was solidified. I knew I was coming back to Chicago to plant my flag and get busy, man. So, without Scoop in that moment, G, I don't know if the bigs would even exist, bro.
Hey, man, Scoop, that's why we call him Yoda, man. He just doesn't know. I'm pretty sure he knows. But, like I always tell you, T, it's different when you inside of it to be able to see. You need to step outside of the matrix to be able to see exactly what was going on, see the effect that, that you've had on a certain culture, on a certain thing, or on certain people. And I'm pretty sure Scoop has been around for a minute, and Scoop knows what he means to our culture, man. He's a cultural icon. I don't like to use that word a lot, but when it's deserving, especially for somebody who's as world renowned as Scoop is, he's still underground to the fullest. I think that's the one thing that I've always come to love about Scoop, is that he's never leaving his roots. And it's evident in his pieces, in his books. The Nike demo that he what was the Nike demo called? Soul, what was it called? Soul Provider.
Oh yeah. Yes,
Even
sir.
that.
Yes, sir.
We know Nike is like one of the greatest brands of all time. And Scoop being they reached out to Scoop to pen that. And even when penning something as world-renowned as that, Scoop has still never forgot his roots, and I appreciate that, being able to still, the older you get and the more wise you get, still being able to relate to the people who you mean most to.
Man, exactly, man. I feel like that's what makes him so iconic, is that he's still rooted here and rooted in the next generation of journalists and sports analysts and sports personalities that are going to come out of Chicago. You know what I mean? Like you said, we didn't want to leave out any names. You got to put Lawrence in there.
Oh,
Jason
my
Goff,
bad. Jason Goff,
Tony,
Lawrence,
all these
Tony
guys.
Gill,
You know what I mean?
yes, sir. My bad.
The whole tribe,
Yep, Yep, all the guys who've shown us love and helped us get to where we've gotten, man. I definitely didn't forget to blatant. That was blatant disrespect. I'm sorry to my guys, man.
We weren't going to go into this first break without it, man. So
yeah, much love.
Let's jump into that first break, man. When we come back, we're going to have our man Scoop Jackson on to discuss the NBA. It's coming back tomorrow, y'all. We'll be right back on the soil.
Yep.
WIFTVPN.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Tuesday through Saturday.
Chicago Legal Network is the collaboration of attorneys that concentrate in many areas of the law most needed in Chicago neighborhoods. The CLN lawyers focus on personal injury, criminal defense, and other issues. The CLN lawyers all average over 20 years of legal experience and are dedicated to helping the Chicago community. The Chicago Legal Network is committed to developing black lawyers through mentorship and co-representation. So if you were injured in a car accident, slip and fall, or injured on the job, or you need assistance with criminal defense, including driving violations and DUI, check out ChicagoLegalNetwork.com for more information or call 773-912-3545. 773-912-3545.
L-Town, bitch.
Boy, you niggas talk too much. Fuck that chitter chatter. If a nigga snake me, I'ma turn his ass to Casper. You been trapping all your life, still broke, you hustling backwards. If my bitch give you eye contact, then you can have her. Turn her to my old hoe, so I'll be looking past her. Don't mind me, I just keep it church like a pastor. You couldn't even imagine what it took to get it here. Ay, I just ran through $100 last year. Ay, keep that on the hush. Don't tell my baby mama's child support it hunt me like I know what you did last summer. Ay, real niggas, we think these niggas bitches color pink. They probably somewhere washing they pussy in a fucking sink. Let that sink in. I put that on the fan. If a nigga cross me, they won't cross nobody again. Ay, many men they hate me, but they bitches wanna date me. Ay, baby, I've been going crazy. I've been on one lately, smoking presidential Ronald Reagan. I don't do nothing basic. Ay, report live from the basement, ballin' like a pacer. Ay, I'm getting that fast money in the fast lane like a racer. Ay, got a Glock with a 50 clip, it erase all your data. Ay, headshot or leave a fuck nigga on the pavement. Ay, his mama better pray for him. They hope that ambulance save him. Ay, will he live or will he die? His lifeline on the maybe. Ay, that's what he get for fucking with me. This shit real, that's on baby. Ay, this shit get tragic. These niggas don't want no smoke. No, they don't want static. David Blaine shots from this Glock, it work magic. If I let this bitch fly, you'll disappear, you vanish. Poof, be gone, ay. Poof, be gone, ay. Poof, be gone, ay. If I let them shots fly, you will disappear like magic. Boy, them niggas fuck niggas, they don't want no static. Fucking with me round this bitch, this shit'll get tragic.
Fly with me, I'm riding, we try for that gold medallion. Pass the drip, I'm trying to die too far, that money pile, but she be silent. When she see how much the pockets crowded, we be filing through them blue notes. Who want product? He a client. He just posing with that pole, too dramatic. He want drama, we won't conversate about it. That Uzi clear the mileage. Let me keep it real, I ain't got no bodies. But for that fam, bitch, I'm catching charges. No need for them niggas to budge. I'm already in his closet. Post up on the mound, I'm a pirate, he a dodger. Fastball at his face, he a race, not playing tomorrow. The shooter and the driver, one man gang, I'm on the island. Try that with Honda, you gon' get more than a couple patches. L-Town bitch, we ratchet, get up with me for the bashes. Nigga, they couldn't imagine, through the mud, we too savage. Used to sleep out the roaches, live by the poachers, shit was tragic. Breaking down them bundles, moving thunder, terror, man, this shit get tragic. These niggas don't want no smoke, no they don't want static. David Blaine shots from this Glock, it work magic. If I let this bitch fly, you'll disappear, you vanish. Poof, be gone, ay. Poof, be gone.
Day one.
Yes, sir, I like how that sound right there, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of inspirational. It's like everybody got a goal. They're trying to reach your life. They're trying to live, man. Be bumps in the road. You gotta keep pushing forward. You know what I'm saying? If it don't kill you, it make you strong. You know what I'm saying? My story right here. Yeah. It takes a special kind of mind to grind and work from the bottom and climb up the ladder of success in time. It doesn't matter what the test is, every step is another level till I step in as the next in line, no question. I'm considered one of the best, my whole life invested in, holding mics and sketching rhymes, you guessed it. I'm on mine, still restless, yes, even pressed up my records on my own dime. As many battles I blew breath in, and open mics I blessed. I'll never be labeled an overnight success, passing out CDs, doing shows for free, then dabbing Bo to eat so that my soul could speak.
over these soulful beats that's so cold to me. Like the breeze in the shower, we be posted deep. All the prices that I paid, the sacrifices I made, it'll all come to life one day, someday. Wait and see, someday. Take it from me, just be patient, man. Bumps the road ain't nothing. Rotate, nothing stop. Check it out. Look, I remember it like yesterday, trying to get my record played at a radio station where they play hits for days. Having a conversation with this lady I'm facing while she making a statement made for me. She said, look, it's too many words in your hook. You need to work on your look. For what it's worth, I never took her words personal. But at first, I wasn't certain, though, if she knew my words are personal and not just verses and books until the curtain closes. This is my version of what I know, learning in first person till I blow. And still I know how it feels to know I'm the deal. Did you still feel like a deal is just right, or a deal just might still add to my appeal? But they won't know I'm real till I touch my first million, right? I'ma chill till my bars is felt and play my hand with the cards I'm dealt, and that's the plan till it's solved itself.
We are back on the soil, kicking it at the West End for the Black People Media Studios, man. You are rocking with the bigs. I'm your man, T-Tom. You know Eugene is riding right with me.
Riding shotgun. Y'all hear my boy ML in the background, man. Mick Luda someday in the building. Hey, man. Our boy is in the building.
Yes, sir. Without further ado, the one and only Scoop Jackson joins us on the soil, man. One of the great storytellers of our time, brother. You know?
Come on, man. You know what we call him, man. We call him Yoda, man. This guy has been all over the place, from ESPN, USA Today, Slam, Nike, XXL, Hoops, man, to the Final Call, man, with the brothers, man. That's most impressive to me. It's like the wide array of skill that this guy possesses never ceases to amaze me. So with that being said, we got our brother, the legend, the icon, and I don't care if he don't like it or not, the legend, the icon, man, Mr. Scoop Jackson. Scoop, what up, brother?
What up, man? Nah, I've learned to take it over the years, so I appreciate it, man. That's love. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for jumping down with us, man. As Gino said, as we discussed before we came back from the last break, man, it's an honor to have you on. Somebody that's led the way for not just sports writers, but anybody that enjoys sports, man, for so long, and you stayed rooted in Chicago, man, and it's only right that you come on the soil, man. So thank you, once again, before we get into the conversation.
Man, it's a pleasure and honor. Terrence, you know how it is, man. You know exactly how it is.
Absolutely.
You call, I'm gonna answer. It's just that simple.
Thank you. Hey,
Scoop, we need more like you, brother. Trust me. Well, we need more like you, man, because that's the attitude we have. Anytime on our way up, people think like we these big superheroes or something. Like we blazing the trail because people didn't think it was possible, but That's something me and T have stuck to. Like anytime our people need us, we a phone call, a text, a DM, however you need to reach us, that's all you got to do, and we will be right there. So we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no, we got to live by that black first code,
All day.
We all seem to talk it, but only a few of us kind of walk it.
All day.
And we have to try to do our best to at least live by that. So and to the point that we don't even think about it. To the point that it's even natural.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So that's really all it is. That's really all it is. So I appreciate y'all doing what y'all doing. And you know me, I'm just trying to do my job, trying to continue doing what I've been doing and stay consistent in that.
All day long, man.
Definitely doing that, Scoop, man. So we brought you here to talk NBA, and me and Gene were talking about the circumstances that the league is coming back in, man. And I feel like that's a good place to start. The last time we saw these guys, they were in a bubble, really kind of setting an example for what sports could look like in a COVID world, Right. That's a totally different script as we get ready for tip-off tomorrow, man. They're back in stadiums, no fans, but, they're looking more like the NFL than the NBA we saw over the fall, with them continuing from last season. So what, from your perspective, man, Is that the number one storyline going into the NBA season? Is it the NBA and COVID still?
That's a good question. That's a really good question that I haven't thought about if that's the major storyline. For the most part, that's a good question, Terrence. I want to say no. And the only reason I'm saying no is because I want to use a word that you just spoke that goes to what happened last season, if we could call it like a couple of months ago, a season ago, because it really wasn't. It hadn't been that long. But you used the word continue, and I think that's what made what they did before different than what they're doing now. And it's made it unique and why nobody else was able to replicate what they were able to do. Everybody else came in trying to start something. The NBA basically continued and tried to finish what they started. That's why the bubble worked, because the bubble was a continuation. It was a very small sample of what they had to do to finish their season. Baseball started off fresh. Football started off fresh. College football, college sport started off fresh. They're trying to, basically complete an entire season. And you can't do that using what the NBA did as an example.
Right.
Because basically what they did was basically just continue something. That's it. So take that in consideration to what your question was about COVID being the number one storyline as the season begins. I think that because every player in the NBA has gone through a continuance before, and they know the discipline it takes and what measures have to be taken on their side in order for this new season to be successful, they're coming into a new season different than all other sports came into it.
Right.
They didn't know how to act. It was all new to them. This is not new to the NBA. So they know about holding each other accountable. Right. They know about how to move and how to function and what's, they kind of know because of what they went through before in the bubble, what it's going to take to make this happen. Is it going to be, virus free? Probably not.
Right.
But that's what makes the brilliant thing that Adam Silver and the NBA Players Association did by basically stopping the season halfway just to reassess where they are.
Yep.
See, and whatever problems they have, they're going to address that in March. That's why they haven't even scheduled games past March.
Yep.
They played this, they're playing this so smart that, to me, it almost makes COVID a secondary concern or storyline because of the way they're approaching it and the way they have it set up where they can really focus on basketball, and just focus on the sport because once again, they know what it's going to take to get from December to March. And it's almost a replication of kind of being in the bubble because they don't have to look at trying to finish an entire season right now. They don't have to look at how we're going to do this for 6 months. Look, can we just do this for 3 months and we're good? How long was the bubble? About 3 months. You know what I'm saying? So they already have it structured that way for them to mentally just lock in and, hey, we can do this. We can complete this. And then once again, whatever doesn't work out during that time, they can shut it down. Period. It's not going to be like the NFL, like we got to get 16 games in no matter what. Or college football, we got to get these weeks in, because of the way it's totally different. So because of the way they have it set up, and because of that, I think COVID is a secondary, narrative as far as the season starts with the NBA. I really do think that we can actually have a legitimate conversation with meaning about who we feel has the best chance to win the championship. You know what I'm saying? Or where James Harden is going. Or how important it was that Giannis stayed. Right. We can have those conversations and not be overtly concerned about COVID with the NBA right now, the way COVID seems to be the prelude to every conversation when it comes to every other sport.
Yeah, Scoop, I 100% agree with you. Just like you said, that was a great question by Terrence that you didn't think of. That's something that I'm pretty sure that was something that I didn't even think of because, like you said, I mean, the NBA had a head start. They were the first league to actually get a chance to sit back, see, because it happened at the basically like towards the end of the season, but it was during NCAA March Madness and right around the time, you know, MLB was supposed to start. So they got a chance to sit back, kind of plan and go through that bubble, but then plan on making the next season, you know, as progressive as possible. And me and Terrence always talk about the NBA being the more progressive out of all of the major sports. So I'm with you. I think Adam Silver's done a great job of preparing, you know, not just the players and the front office and the execs and everybody that works around the NBA, but us as fans, you know, not even, I mean, COVID is COVID. Everybody's aware we're all doing the things that we can to, you know, prevent contracting the virus ourselves, but just putting us back in a fan mode and putting the NBA first. And like you said, thinking about the James Harden situation, Giannis staying. Now we got Kyle Kuzma signing with the Lakers, the whole Russell Westbrook not really liking what was going on in Houston. So with that being said, man, what is your favorite storyline going into the first day of the season tomorrow?
Well, I want to say it's a tie, but that would be too easy. I'll put it to you this way. If I had not seen KD and KD and Kyrie balling in a couple of games they played together during this, if they want to call it preseason, they call it preseason, you know, that would be my first, just to see what they look like together and just to see what they look like individually. But now I know that if they're healthy, Brooklyn is a problem, period. KD's a problem.
A serious problem.
So that really has been answered to me. My major thing is what Clippers team is going to show up for the next 72. And if they learned anything from what they didn't do in the bubble. Because we know on paper what they were supposed to do and what they had the capability of doing. And it's not necessarily about winning. It's about showing up and acting like you aren't owed something. You know, they actually played like they were a bunch of prima donnas that hadn't won shit yet.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to wonder, did that situation in the bubble humble them? Because if it did humble them, then, you know, and they get back to playing basketball and not thinking they're special and not listening to us in the media, giving them that special, you know, all that stuff. If they were humbled and they just get down to playing basketball to their capabilities, you know, then we're going to be like, okay, the Lakers, you know, even though the Lakers, you know, ended up over the offseason, the Clippers still got enough firepower to at least push them with interest a little bit. And that's what I want to see, what Clippers team over this next 72 is going to show up.
And Scoop, to piggyback on that, it's like, okay, we think that the Clippers have enough ammo, you know, and then you consider the fact that they lost Montrezl Harrell, and however that situation unfolded.
But they got Serge Ibaka, man. They got Serge Ibaka in return. That ain't, you know.
It's not, you're not losing too much with that.
Right, you're not losing. I mean, nothing. Montrezl is Montrezl, but you getting Serge, that's a big save, man.
Yeah.
That's a huge save.
And you're talking about that's one of Kawhi's guys who he has the chemistry with. They won a ring together in Toronto. But man, because you call them prima donnas, and that's exactly what has been the rollout. Like we see behind the scenes, Kawhi and you know, more so Paul George, who hadn't had the resume that Kawhi Leonard had coming into the Clippers situation with big divas over there. So I'm totally wondering how that's going to fall out. You got a new coach. You still got Doc Rivers sending shots through the media, you know, back at some of his old players. So I feel like the Clippers, you know, storyline is definitely one of my favorites, Scoop. But I want to go back to the KD and Kyrie situation, because I feel like anywhere Kyrie is, I'm interested. You know, I feel like he's one of the more polarizing players in the league right now.
All right.
And then you add on the fact that he started this season, you know, taking if you want to call it a stance, basically taking an anti-position versus the media. I thought that was kind of interesting, coming back from injury and, like you said, you know, getting ready to be back with KD. What were your thoughts on that when Kyrie came out and said, "I'm not talking to the media this year"? You know, something something we've heard before. You know,
right.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I mean, I'm a member of the media, so I understand why people don't want to talk to us.
Period.
Yeah, because we have a tendency to things that have no connection to what is important or what is necessary or has any meaning at all. So I get Kyrie's situation in I don't want to have to deal with you all right now. Can I just focus on this? And players have the right to do that. I get tired of hearing people in the media saying that that's their job. That's your job. That's your job. Look, man. And I don't want to get all political, but it's a suggestion. If Trump told us one thing with everything he did during his presidency that we thought was law, you know what I'm saying? Absolutely. We realize no, that's not law.
Right.
If you can decide to opt out to it, you can decide to opt out to it. So, I can't sit up here and be pointing fingers and throwing shade at players because they don't speak to the media. And the person that was running the country basically was like, "Oh, it's cool not to pay my taxes."
Yeah, at all.
So
exactly.
I'm putting it in that lane about, what's your definition of somebody's job?
Right.
Kyrie's and everybody else's job, Marshawn Lynch, Barry Bonds, all these black cats that the media has attacked for, not talking to the media and them using the word jobs. And especially with the white media, they always come behind with reminding us how much they get paid. The contract always comes after the not talking.
Exactly.
Well, that's your job to speak. And you're getting paid $132 million. It always comes what? So, it goes back to a deeper mentality that I just throw out the window and don't associate it with that's your job. So I don't have a problem with Kyrie man, I didn't feel like talking to y'all today. I don't feel like talking to y'all anytime. It's cool. So I don't have a problem with it at all. I mean, the fact that he did later on, that's fine. But if you don't feel like it, because you know what we're going to bring to the table, and even if you're not ready to speak, if you're not ready to handle some of the nonsense that comes with this, then you know what I'm saying? I'm really the wrong guy to ask that question to a certain degree, because I'm always going to side with, for the most part, the players or the subject matter or the victim in this who's often the subject matter, because as a human being, you have the choice not to do something. And I watched politicians avoid the media and it not be a problem. But it seems to me that when it comes to black athletes, it becomes a problem, and I'm always going to clap back on that.
No, Scoop, that means you're the right one to ask that question, because I feel like you're totally on point, especially speaking to two guys that have spent time in an NBA locker room. Like you said, we totally understand when athletes say, "Man, I don't feel like talking to y'all today." But Scoop, real quick,
because y'all hear some of the questions. You all hear some of the questions get asked. And
some of the most
yes,
man,
Scoop.
the most ridiculous. Scoop, I get blown by these questions on a daily basis on these Zoom calls. Trust me.
Exactly. Hey, Scoop, let's take a quick break, real quick. We'll be right back and jump right back into this conversation. You're on the Sawyer with the Bigs. We're talking to Scoop Jackson.
WIFTBPM.
What's up, good people?
Y'all go accept my request on the page. So
Why?
I can do the
Why would we do that? Why would we do that?
I'm trying to do the survey.
Why would we let you in? Why would we let you on the? You talking about the Iswiz book club page? No, why would
we're gonna let you in, Ron. You need to read. I'm with that. I'm definitely putting you on.
Somebody please let Ron in the Iswiz. Is it? I thought it was a public page.
I don't know. I don't run it.
I don't know who run it. You got to talk to Shannon and Robin and.
You say what? Y'all group private like it's something special or something.
First of all, it is something special.
Ass.
Okay,
there's something special. Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
And you gonna talk it again. Don't get no punishment again now.
Right. They already came in there like, look at her being nice to Ron today. It wasn't gonna last.
He always messes.
I think Asia came in like, for now, like just for a little while.
Just for a little while.
Just for a little while. Just for a little while. Somebody let that man in the page. Somebody let that man in the page, Robin. Please let him in. I said what I said. Herb and 2, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
Tune in every Sunday. Don't miss it. Live from the West Center for the Black People Media Studios. It is the Kickoff Kickback. Join the conversation with the brothers, Eugene McIntosh, Herb Howard, and myself, Terrence Tomlin.
We got analysis live from the stadium. The brother Joe Lewis will be following through. We got great guests coming in, players, personnel, people.
Say what? We do our thing every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, taking you right up to kickoff.
We picking the full slate of NFL games. We talking fantasy football. Gino got you covered on all the bets. It's a kickback.
Make sure y'all join the conversation. Smash that like button, smash that share button, and continue to help us push the culture forward.
Don't miss it every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, live here from the West Center for the Black People Media Studios.
This is it. Day one. The red letter edition. Big Luda. We can chop it up, get our profits up, get this dust. If you just rotate with me, yeah. It's not a song. I'm trying to put you on to what I'm on.
We are back on the soil with the one and only Scoop Jackson. Scoop, I wanted to stay on the topic of media real quick.
Man, it's a must, bro.
Yeah, man, I had to bounce something off of you. Something that Eugene and I have talked about really since March. And I got a chance to watch Real Sports, the end of the year episode, and Brian Gumble actually posed the question to his panel. I want to ask you the question, Scoop. One of the biggest changes in media that has had to cover locker rooms has been the distance in between us and the players now, man. When we used to be able to be right there and pull them to the side or whatever.
Something now, we honed in on.
Exactly. Something that became really one of our go-to moves, really, we can't do it anymore. It's all Zoom calls. It's all virtual video interviewing, virtual locker rooms. And I feel like at the beginning of the pandemic, we was like, okay, I wonder when this is going to be over. But, being who we are and having some of the situations we've had with these teams, it was impossible to ignore the fact that the distance is kind of more along the lines of what these teams would be more in favor of. So now with, we're getting close to a year of being in the pandemic. What is this how it's going to be from now on? Like, do you think teams would be willing to bridge that gap that, that's there now? Or is this more along the lines of what we're going to see from now on?
I think that it will lessen.
Oh, there you
go. There you go.
No, we wasn't hearing you. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I think it will lessen as time goes on. I think probably as this year goes on, later on in the year, it will be close to what it is now. But I think year 2, year 3, year 4, the further away we get removed from this, the more it will lean back into what it used to be as far as a proximity standpoint between us and the athletes. So I'm not in this thing that the way this is doing now is going to be the way it's going to be forever, because at the center of it all, as far as I'm concerned, it's still storytelling. Whether you're reporting, whether you're broadcasting, whether you're writing, whatever your job is in the media, in the connection to that athlete, it's still storytelling. And storytelling is still done best when human beings are face-to-face.
Yep.
When human beings have dialogues. Interviews do not create the best storytelling. Conversations do. And conversations are built with two individuals being in close proximity to speak to one another. Because sometimes it's not even the words in which we communicate. It's the nonverbal way we communicate. The fact that you can give somebody that. The fact that it could be an eye look. All these things that happen inside of conversations that can only occur when you're in the presence of somebody. That's when storytelling is at its best. And the media's job is still to tell the best stories the best way that it can. So I think over a period of time, there will be those who are gatekeepers now that will understand that what's going to separate what we do from what everybody else does is our ability to tell the stories better. And in order to tell the best stories, I need to have my people in close proximity to the people we're telling stories about.
Yep.
So they will, it'll get back to that. To me, it will eventually get back to that. Now, it may take time. Like, it may take a whole nother year. The vaccine has to probably be around 80%, 90% of the people in the country, or maybe even globally, for us to get back in that space where, okay, you know what? Now we're going to have media scrums again. Now we're going to allow you all back in locker rooms. And it may be a 6 feet different where all the media is here and the athlete is here, kind of like they separate you during the All-Star games now as opposed to you just cramming. There may be a difference there, but it still will get back to those situations where there's closeness and conversations don't have to be so far apart. I think the bigger concern, though, is, are we going to continue this process of somebody else selecting who gets access and who doesn't?
Huge. I absolutely agree, Scoop.
That's what bothers me right now, is that you all know, and you all, like, even locally dealing with either the White Sox or the Bulls or the Bears or whatever.
Bingo, bingo, bingo.
Right. You can get, without having to have an assignment or having to have somebody you work with assign you for this, or having to go through somebody, give you access to those teams and those players. You'd be like, hey, here's my podcast, here's my radio show, here's my, blog, here's my magazine, here's my newspaper. I represent them. Okay, well, we have you on the credential list. Eugene, Terrence, you all are good for the season. And you all can pick and choose whatever games you want to go to. You get locker room access, all that stuff is there. Now, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You have the media organizations deciding who goes and who doesn't. So now you have a select few that get access to the players. And now they become the go-to guy. And now that pool is shrunk.
Yes.
And in those situations, I always look at who's making those decisions, because the higher up things go in this business, you all know the less and less people like us are up there. And those people make decisions for people that look like them.
Crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So now all of a sudden, we're slowly but surely and subliminally being pushed out of the game in this moment. That's what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at how's that going to change once things start to settle back in? Are they going to keep up that where they make the decision on who goes? Because now they have more control over the situation.
100%, Scoop. It's like you're inside of our minds, or you must be the third party of the bigs, because this is something with a specific Chicago team that we're going through right now, that we've been going through for probably the past who knows how many years. And it feels like Terrence said, with this whole Zoom thing and everything taking this different turn, that's the vibe that we're getting, even though we're still allowed access and they haven't flat out told us what they're really thinking. We can read between the lines.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The energy is there, but it's up to us to continue to be the players that we are and represent for the people that we need to represent for us. So whatever they do, it's not going to affect us, because we're going to fight to the end. But I wanted to stay in Brooklyn with you, Scoop, and you talked about KD and Kyrie. What about Steve Nash? Do you feel like, because I feel like Steve Nash is one of these new era coaches with guys like Monty Williams, who are not too far removed from the game, and they can, really relate to their guys. So I feel like Steve Nash has this certain aura about himself that he'll be able to implement into his team and to KD and Kyrie. Kyrie, especially being a point guard and being a savvy guard. Steve Nash, he created the opposite leg layup and all of that. So I'm pretty sure he's worked with Kyrie about adding some more to Kyrie's already outstanding array of moves on the court. But do you feel like the Brooklyn Nets and Steve Nash, do you think he has the toughest coaching job in the NBA this season? And is it finals or bust for the Nets? Because we saw the last 2 seasons. We saw, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, now with DeAndre Jordan, those guys. We've seen the steps forward that they've taken, and now adding 2 probably first team. It feels like KD, Kyrie, LeBron, and AD could be 4 out of 5 All-NBA first team members. So do you think that it's championship or bust with the Nets this year?
I don't think so. It's a great question about Steve Nash. Also, and the pressure putting on himself. And I think you're right as far as him being one of those new age players, former players that's turned into coaches. And I put Monty Williams in there, but I also use the standard bearer, who's the example for everybody now in that transition, is Steve Kerr.
All day.
And being able to relate, right? Being able to relate to a player from a younger standpoint and having a team of assistant coaches around you that become legendary, which Steve Nash has actually done. So, I see Steve Nash having that, but we're not going to know what type of coach he is until he gets into coaching situations where he has to make adjustments. Mm-hmm. Even though he has two of the greatest players on his team, on the planet, on his team at his service, still there are other great players in the leagues, and there are teams that have been together longer than the Nets have that are going to challenge them. And now we're going to see what Steve Kerr does in those moments when he is equally matched. In situations like, okay, now what do you do as a coach? Right. Because you can have the greatest personality and still get the best out of your players. But in playoff situations, a 7-game series, if you're not able to make adjustments to the adjustments that other teams make against you in the course of a 7-game series, if you can't make that double adjustment, then you're in trouble. All the personalities and your player coach, all that's thrown out the window.
Yeah.
Can you adjust to what, Eric Spoelstra just did to you? Because the Nets won 2 games in this series, and now Miami's come back and beat you the next 2, and the series tied, and you don't have home court advantage. How do you go against that, Steve Kerr? Steve Nash. You're going up against a coach that has rings already.
Yeah.
That is already in tune with his players, whose team has been to the finals before.
Yeah.
They may be hungrier than you, and they've adjusted in the 7-game series to counter everything you did to them in those first 2 games. That's how we're going to judge what Steve Nash is as a coach. And we won't know that until we get there and be able to judge him trying to get through that. Now, that being said, that leads into my thing of why it's not championship or bust this year for the Brooklyn Nets. Because they're going to have to go through teams like Miami that's been there before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's still an opportunity for them for the most part. And if Miami is honest with themselves and lies to themselves at the same time, which sometimes I think teams need to do, the lie Miami has to tell themselves, and it's honesty too, is we all think that the Lakers would have probably beaten them had everybody in Miami been healthy, correct?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, but Miami can't tell themselves that. That's what I'm saying. It's the truth, but it's the lie they have to tell themselves. They have to go in the season believing that the Lakers didn't beat them, they lost. Right. And the reason they lost is because Bam went down and Dragic went down.
Right.
In their minds, this whole season, like, we could have waxed their ass if we had at full strength. They wouldn't have had a chance with us. So you take that attitude with this team who believes they should have beat the Lakers last season. How can the Nets, even as talented as they are, compete against that their first time playing together?
Truth.
How can the Nets compete against a Philadelphia squad that now has Doc Rivers coming in to teach Ben Simmons how to be Rondo? See, that's the important thing. Everybody talk about Doc Rivers' experience, but what we're about to see in my mind is a Philadelphia team that for the last 2 years we thought should have been in the Eastern Conference Finals, should have probably been in the finals at some point because of what they have. Now they have a coach that is going to be able to hopefully, one, get Joel Embiid to understand the importance of basketball, get the best out of him, possibly. But more importantly, a coach who has dealt with a point guard who can't shoot and won a championship with that.
Right. Simply.
And so what he's going to do, and I heard him mention it the other day, Ben, when he said he's going to tell Ben that means Ben, Magic Johnson, could not shoot when he came into the league. You just as good as Magic Johnson. Rondo could not shoot when he came into the league. Jason Kidd could not shoot when he came into the league. Right. Stop getting inside, letting these people get inside your head. You do you. And once you see somebody teaching Ben Simmons how to beat Jason Kidd, how to beat Magic Johnson, how to be Rondo, dude, there's no way in hell with them being together as long as they have and having that coach and Doc Rivers going against the Steve Nash and this being his first time. There's no way in my mind the Nets are supposed to come out of that series, even with KD and Kyrie. That's experience. Now, next year, yeah, in this
different
first year,
story, right?
Right. So if they lose to like a Miami, if they lose like a Philadelphia come playoff time that's playing at their peak under Doc Rivers, we can't be mad at that. We can't be. Now, moving on after that, yeah, I think it's fair to go at the Nets. But this year, with them being the first time playing together and Steve Nash, it's just his first year doing this, nah. I can't put the championship on bust on them. That's unfair as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Scoop, somehow, some way, you just made me excited for the Philadelphia 76ers. And I didn't talk a lot of stuff about Ben Simmons and his inability to shoot. But man,
that's
you know
all
what?
Coaching, man. That's all Brett Brown. If he had a coach that knew what to do with him, that probably would have changed. But you look at what Brett Brown was unable to do with Markelle Fultz. Look at what he was unable to do with Ben Simmons. Look at what he was unable to do with Michael Carter Williams. You know, we can go down the line.
Wow.
You know, of players that he wasn't able to develop or do anything with or really make better.
Huge.
And you know, I'm not saying Doc Rivers' track record is 100, but I think he'll do a better job at getting the best out of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid than Brett Brown did.
Scoop, let's take a break real quick. When we come back, I want to stay in the East. We got to talk about the reigning MVP with the richest contract in NBA history, man. We got to talk about Giannis on the other side of this break. We'll be right back. You're kicking it with the bigs on the soil.
Yep.
IFTBPM.
Hey everyone, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I am Mary, the do-it-all intern here at the What's In It for the Black People Media. I hope that you guys are looking forward to celebrating your family, all the kids opening up presents. Be sure to love your loved ones. It's been a tough year, and so long as we're all around, we want to pull each other in closely. You guys have a great holiday.
Chicago's Power Hour. I'm your host, Angie Mims, and
Terrence Keys, TD, a.k.a. Terrence Daniels.
You got an inspirational word for today?
Oh, man, I'll be honored. Giving honor to God. Hey, man, on Sunday morning, it's early, so we got to give honor to God.
Yes, sir.
The good word for today is don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes in our life, in our walk, in our days, in our journeys, we find a way to just worry about so many things. Yeah. And we just want to encourage you today that those worries is God's responsibility. Mm-hmm. It's God's responsibility, because at the end of the day, what we worry about, most times we can't handle.
Yes.
And we would agree together, we can't handle it, so we have to give it to God. That's his responsibility. Mm-hmm. And our job is to simply believe.
Yes.
Simply believe. When we believe, the Bible says all things are possible.
Come on through here.
I better leave that alone.
Preaching already.
You feel it? So be anxious for nothing. Even the Bible says don't worry about anything. In Matthew 6:33 it says don't worry about anything, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things be added unto you. So we're here to encourage you.
Listening to the Bigs with Eugene, McIntosh, and Terrence Tomlin.
He's bare-chested,
right here on What's In It for the Black People Media.
Hey yo, my music is addictive to the user. I let the rush soothe them, they tune in, then I school them. Listen, homie, this shit ain't real. It's just illusions used to fool men, women, and child to confusion. Start running wild, changing views when niggas think they winning when they losing. Caught up in movements, moving foolish, letting life fool them, betting they life losing, trying to better their life when vice moving, cruising, grabbing clicks and cruising, bagging chicks and dudes off tips with slick maneuvers, turn OGs to broke thieves and hungry crooks. Stand sideways, my way giving me funny looks. That's why I hide my money in books. They scared to learn, allergic to words, swerving towards murderous curves. In the dark, working the curve. I'ma still shine cause I'm the light, and I'ma burn to my purpose to serve. Knowledge is power, and ignorance is bliss. It's the wisdom that shines through the visions of the mist. The main challenge is to maintain a balance between your soul and the body, and control is the science. Knowledge is power, and ignorance is bliss. It's the wisdom that shines through the visions of the mist. The main challenge is to maintain a balance between your soul and the body, and control is the science.
Hey man, we are back on the soil. I'm Eugene McIntosh, one half of the illest sports media, independent sports media outlet in the entire land. To my right of me is my player partner, Terrence Tomlin, a.k.a. T-Tom the Great.
What up, people?
And we got the legend, Scoop Jackson, locking in the building on the soil with the brothers, man. Scoop, how you feeling, man?
100, baby. I'm loving it. Well, no, I'm 200, so we're good.
Yes, sir.
Man, Giannis Antetokounmpo, man, secured the bag over the weekend. Well, maybe during last week, got the biggest NBA contract in the history of the league. Shout out to Giannis for putting that paper up, securing a family legacy for the next 2 to 3 to 4 to 5
Absolutely.
generations.
What is really about,
you know, and especially for a guy who 13 years ago was his first time picking up a pill.
Yes.
So it's said a lot about his grind and the consistency and the love of the game, and, you know, coming from Greece, coming on over here. You know, he's put on weight. He's expanded his game a little bit. Still so young and so much game to get to.
Yes, sir.
But my question to you, Scoop,
Hey,
is...
fella, hey, hold on, Eugene. Doesn't it amaze? I'm gonna have both of y'all there. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
Doesn't it amaze you when that direct African bloodline is in play and how fast they pick up stuff?
Hey, man.
And learn stuff.
Hey, man.
Like
it's so fascinating.
Right. Akeem Olajuwon played basketball for 5 years before he got to university. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Look at what Serge Ibaka's able to do. I mean, not Serge, but Pascal Siakam.
Pascal, right.
Yeah. It's like, yo, when you have that direct African bloodline, man, it's amazing how fast you can excel, especially in certain sports, but especially in basketball, man. It shows the origin of our brilliance and what we can really do as black folks, to me.
Absolutely. It totally does. And I think Giannis is, you know, like Gene said, another glaring example of that. You know what I mean? The man is basically the new face of the league, and like you said, just picked up a ball just a few years ago, man. You can't do nothing but tip your cap to him.
But look, here's my question to you, Scoop, and the UT. Me and UT, we talked about this. Scoop, when does Giannis want out of Milwaukee?
You know what? I look at it again once the contract is up. I think year 4 of the contract, he'll basically, you know, look at his situation and say, you know, it's either time for me to go or, you know, let's talk this extension and stay here. But not before then. I think, and you all have been to Milwaukee. You all have seen how the transformation because of him has taken place aesthetically.
Yes.
From arenas to building an entire city around the arena. And it's all because of him. And not that they did it for him. It's, of course, for them to make money. But it's hard to step away from something that when you walked into was almost a desert. And now all of a sudden you walk out and it's like Vegas. And all of that is because it's hard for you to walk away from that. It really is. And, you know, even though the bag and the money's there, you still, in your own mind, understand that you did all of this.
Right.
That you have ownership in this. And that's part of the reason I'm pretty sure he stayed. But that's going to make him not trying to leave early inside of this contract. That's his fingerprints and his heart and his soul and his sweat equity is all around everything that's happening around that arena. You know, and if Milwaukee's smart,
they do everything.
Instead of they build a statue of him in the middle of this contract. Put it outside of it. While he's still playing. You know what I'm saying? Because even if he doesn't finish his career in a Milwaukee uniform, he deserves a statue outside of that place. Anywhere we get close to that arena, we need to see a statue of Giannis.
No, I agree 100%.
And I feel like the conversation on why he stayed, Scoop, is so interesting because, yes, yes, they built this area around him. Milwaukee, is his. You know what I mean? That's his throne. That's where he's going to sit for the next few years. But at the same time, from the perspective of looking at the trends that's been going around in the league as far as free agents go, I, as a fan, did not want to see Giannis go team up on the Lakers. I didn't want to see him team up with another superstar.
But that's something that he stood on.
Exactly. So I'm wondering, is this the signal of another changing of of trends when it comes to the league? Are we going to see, or should we see more players stay put? And I guess that's kind of crazy because at the same time, we got James Harden, who's still trying to push his way out of the Rockets to go play with KD and Kyrie and stuff.
But these are also guys, and before you go, Scoop, I feel like in Giannis's case, you got to think about these other Giannis's comes from Greece. So he didn't play AAU ball with a lot of these guys. He didn't befriend these guys.
Wasn't part of that culture.
In college, yeah. So he has a whole different outlook, I feel like. But that could be something, T, because you know how it goes. Once a standard is set, guys fall in line and try to create that same narrative. I think Jimmy Butler is one of those guys who feels like he doesn't need another superstar to get the job done. And like Scoop said, they were close. That
may be another one of those lies you got to tell
yourself. Of course it is. Because there's no way you're going to beat LeBron and AD without two superstars leading the team. But I just feel like that's the narrative. I feel like in for Giannis's case, he doesn't have these prior relationships that most of these guys who want to team up with each other do.
Now, I figure that's a great point. But I also think we need to look at the role that we play in the decisions that a lot of these players make. And I think in Giannis's case, I think it's unique. But if we're looking at the overall situation of premier and elite Hall of Fame type players making decisions when their contract is up, especially those that don't have a ring, I'm of the belief that a lot of the decisions are built on how we shape their stories that wind up being their careers. The one thing is it's an interesting dynamic that they fall into because we're the ones that make them feel rings are so important and necessary to your career. Because, and I've talked to a bunch of these cats, they don't want to be the Charles Barkley's. They don't want to be the Karl Malones and the Patrick Ewings because we, the media, have put so much pressure on them to get a ring that it becomes something that defines their career and their entire legacy.
Right.
So if they do anything to not have to deal with this for the rest of their lives because we're the ones that keep bringing it up and we shape the conversation that the fans wind up having, damn trying to stay with the team and try to prove something. I'm going to get this ring out the way. You can't say that about me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because you don't hear people talk about Gary Payton and Alonzo Mourning the way they do about, and even though they got rings on the back end of their careers and really didn't even contribute largely to why their teams got their ring, in their mind, they still got rings.
Yep. And
so
Scoop,
if I could avoid hearing the media talk about me and put me in this lane for the next 40 years, damn it, I'm going to do it. But at the same time, we kill players for making moves to get rings. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Scoop.
And so it really depends on who the player is and what they feel like dealing with. Because it's like, all right, do I want to be Kevin Durant and catch heat for going to the Golden State Warriors and getting the ring?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And not getting it on my own. Or do I want to, or would I rather not deal with being Kevin Durant and never getting the ring? But I think those two things are just as important as what Dean just said about like Giannis not being from here, as far as why players make decisions, where elite players make the decisions that they make. And to me, it's all about what they think they can deal with the most, what they can tolerate.
Scoop, I feel like me and Eugene debated that same point around the time when The Last Dance came out and it became a MJ versus LeBron thing, and people were telling me that LeBron is ring chasing and KD is ring chasing, and my point was, how can we call it ring chasing if, you know, at one hand we got Charles Barkley, who every time we see him on inside the NBA, he's getting shitted on because he doesn't have a ring. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then at the same time, imagine if LeBron only, didn't get a ring or only had one ring. He wouldn't be the king. Like, to Scoop's point, the pressure that these players have on them to win rings definitely makes them move different when it comes to free agency. And I don't know if you could call it ring chasing because of it. You know what I mean?
But think about, and Scoop, if you didn't know, I played high school basketball with Antoine Walker and Donovan McNabb, and we had Twan.
Oh, so you was in Mount Carmel. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Class of 94. And we had Twan on the show about a month ago, and right. Twan, we had him tell the story about Big Mike coming back for his second time around in Washington and how he called right. Twan to kind of set up the hoops to get back going. And he was like, man, one of the things Mike told me was, man, you need a ship. Like, if you don't get a ship, then you really ain't on shit. And he was like, man, when I got that ship in Miami, it took a burden off of me because, like you said, we have created this thing about if you don't get a ring, your legacy isn't that much. And I asked Kendall Gill one time, because just think, Scoop, if the answer had a ring, how much more legendary, because he's already as legendary as he can be, but how much more legendary would the answer be with a ring?
Yeah, you're right. And he would be in a conversation that culturally we understand what it is, but he'd be in a basketball conversation.
Exactly.
It will be more than him just being the pound for pound best player that ever played.
Yeah.
It'll be in the, who's top 10, especially if you took that Philadelphia squad and they beat the Lakers. That would be a whole nother thing. But, and I do this a lot, and I hate doing this because I love the dude to death. But isn't it interesting how cats like AI, cats like Charles Barkley, cats like Karl Malone, cats like Patrick Ewing always get singled out for not having rings, and nobody puts that on Steve Nash.
Message.
And Hey, AI and Steve Nash are basically the same. They're like Bird and Magic and Jerry West and Oscar Robertson. They're parallel as far as like placement and all this and the other. But the shade always comes where AI didn't get me. I never hear Steve Nash's name mentioned, and Steve Nash didn't even get to a finals.
Now, Scoop. Now, I feel you because we're basketball. We're aficionados, if that's the words you want to use. But I feel like, and I agree with you because, me and Terrence, we always looking at these lists. And there was a list that had Steve Nash ranked above AI in all-time player rank, which is utterly ridiculous to me. But I don't think.
Well, he got I hear what you're saying, but that
two MVPs.
And when the people making these decisions, they look at stats and they look at stuff like that, and that
right.
But
but if we looking at the overall comparison, and we can even leave culturally out of it, because like you said, I feel like AI taking that Philly team to the finals and beating the Lakers in game one with him being the MVP of the league that year, I feel like that outweighs anything Steve Nash has ever done. And I love Steve Nash. I think he did a great job when he was, I think he was an outstanding player. But when we mention those guys, in my opinion, I'm not putting Steve Nash in the category with Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, and AI. He's the next level under them. I don't care if he got 4 MVPs.
Got you. I feel you. I would say for the most part, you may be the one outside that room, but I feel you. I can't argue with you.
Right.
I can't argue with you. But to me, if you're still a legendary top whatever, 50. Let's say you're top 50, whatever. But you're definitely a Hall of Fame player. You're definitely a player that had an impact on a generation. Or let's say you're just a generational player, which we can't argue that Steve Nash was a generational player where he was a big-time player during a generation. Whether you want to place him equal or below AI, regardless, he's still a generational player. My thing is that, he very, very, very rarely gets mentioned in those players, great players that don't have rings. He's usually way, way, way down on the list. We go through a lot of other players before we get to him, for not having a ring, and I always find that interesting, you know, because the first players, like you said, we talk about are the Barkleys, are the Patrick Ewings, are the, you know, this, that, and the other. So that's just interesting. But here's the deal, and I say that to say Steve Nash to me doesn't have to carry that burden with him because we don't consistently bring his name up.
There you go.
Patrick Ewing and Charles Barkley,
and
Karl Malone, those type. Even look, and I'll throw the race thing down the line. We mentioned Karl Malone before we mentioned John Stockton.
100%. 100%.
You know what I'm saying? So there needs to be a burden that is omnipresent when it comes to Black generational players in the NBA that don't have rings, and they have to carry that legacy with them throughout their entire lives.
It becomes a part of the ring list. You know, it becomes an actual stat. Like
right.
Like,
so
no.
if you're a player currently, seriously, if you're a player currently, if you're like a Paul George, if you're like a Russell Westbrook, even if you're like a James Harden, do you want to really have to be that person? Do you want to have to carry that with you?
Absolutely not.
If you can do what you can do to avoid that from happening,
you do it.
Wouldn't you do it?
Yep.
Absolutely. Which is why I don't blame any of the players that do, you know?
Yeah, I agree, man.
And once again, let me throw this out. I don't blame LeBron for doing what LeBron did. I think LeBron's situation was so unique in that he was drafted out of high school by the team in the town that he grew up in. So when he went to Miami, to me, that's not ring chasing. That is, how old was he at that time? 24?
24, yep.
That man was on a quest.
No. That's a 24-year-old dude that had $200 million at his disposal, never having been out of Cleveland, Ohio any time in his life.
Yeah.
You know, that's not ring chasing. That's like, can I see just why I got this in my prime?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just see what it looks like on the other, just for a second.
Yes.
Even just for 4 years, can I get something different?
You see, he went back to Cleveland after that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
And he went back to Cleveland because he understood the importance of what it was to get that ring. You know, I had already gotten 2 rings in Miami. Let me go back and see if I can ring one for this city, especially after the way the way I made them feel believing.
Yeah.
If I can redo this and make it all up to the city that I love, I see what the world is like. You know, so I don't think LeBron is ring chasing. I think he's building teams as he goes along to get himself rings, but I don't think he's ring chasing. I think his situation is unique to anybody else's.
I agree.
Great
Scoop.
point. Yeah, great point.
Speaking of burdens, man, we got to touch on the Chicago Bulls.
Here we go.
Why?
Thank you, brother.
You know what? I don't even know why. Gene, why do we have to do?
Because we're Chicagoans, and all of the family members, all of our guys, all these Facebook groups, all the Twitter groups, they look forward to us. They seem to think this is going to be an exciting year for the same team that we had last year. I mean, I know we got a new front office. I'm happy to see AK. I'm happy to see Garpax not in the picture anymore. Good to see AK, Mark Eversley, and Billy Donovan in the picture trying to create, you know, some new energy.
A new environment.
Yeah, new environment, and I'm happy for that. But, Scoop, my main thing is I don't think we have the horses, man. I think Zach LaVine is a very good player. I think Lauri Markkanen and Wendell Carter are not the guys that we need to build around. I think Kobe White is another guy who has a great upside, but they need to stop trying to turn him into CP3 and just let him do him, especially in this new era of basically positionless basketball. So I just want to know your outlook on the Chicago Bulls. Actually, let's sit on it. Let's keep you around for one more break because we got 2 more things after that we need to get into. But when we come back, me and T want to hear your take on what you think this next season for the Bulls looks like. Cool?
Cool.
WIFTBPM.
Today we learned that a Kentucky state grand jury found that the officer responsible for killing Breonna Taylor. Rulings like this one set us back and come as yet another challenge to the hard work and progress we have already made. It means we fight even harder against the systems of inequality and injustice designed to keep too many of us down. We will and we must continue to say her name. We will and we must continue to demand justice. And we will and we must do everything in our power to prevent any more names from being added to this role, like George Floyd, or closer to home, Rekia Boyd, and Laquan McDonald, and too many others. I want you to know that I support you and will do everything in my power to protect you.
Regarding the CBS 2 story last night about the raid on the social worker's home, why did your administration go to court to try and prevent the body camera video from being broadcast? And why is your administration asking a federal judge to punish Miss Young for sharing video of her own home being raided?
And I watched that video. This case was litigated in federal court. The federal judge put in place an order. There's allegations that she has violated that. A federal judge put rules in place. It's for that judge to determine whether or not that was appropriate. I'm not going to sit here and second guess a federal judge or how the information related to that matter is handled. That's for that judge who I know and is very competent and I'm sure will be fair in assessing.
Because COPA has not yet made a decision in 22 months on this?
I just, look, we got to fess up and we got to clean it up.
You have the wrong place! You got the wrong house! You got the wrong house!
We will and we must continue to say her name.
What's good? You back down on the soil rocking with the bigs on What's in It for the Black People Media.
Better. Traffic jam fan, you know it. I'm from the middle of the map. I get around, I've been there and back. Born in Gary, Indian, just to be exact. Got family in the go and family in the nap. Same shit everywhere, saw it in the A out on old Nat. Sucker free suckers can't take the heat, nah they gon' rap. Big dumb cats, big guns clap. Another brother dead, another mother son lack.
We are back on the soil, kicking it with the one and only Scoop Jackson. Got to talk Bulls before we get him out of here for the day, man, and get the rest of his day cracking. I don't want to end it on a bad note, man, but it's only right we talk about the Bulls. You should see the comments right now, man. People are calling the Bulls a top 4 team in the East.
Yeah, back in the Jordan era or the D-Rose MVP year.
Exactly, man. But I feel like this is hopefully the start of a new era, man. Hopefully a start of them moving in another direction. Billy Donovan, Mo Cheeks is on the bench for these guys right now.
Back to the crib.
How much, well, before I ask how much, of an impact Billy Donovan's going to have, I should ask how much did the guard packs Jim Boylan last few years set the Bulls back?
No further back than, where they had been when they made the original decision to let Phil Jackson go and bring Tim Floyd up in this piece.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's been set back since then, or by letting, Tom Thibodeau go and bringing in Fred Hoiberg.
Facts.
After that, to me, it seems like they've, and this is all under the ownership of Jerry Reinsdorf, that they've wanted somebody in that seat as head coach to be somebody that they could puppet string along. Yeah. That seems to be more important, that they could control. That's more important than them winning basketball games. And there always seemed to be that fight between Pax and Gar about who was the smartest, who had who had the most power, who was making the right decision. It always seemed to be a back and forth between the two. But at the end of the day, they both wanted to have some type of power over the coach where they were pulling the strings and they were hiring individuals that were following their word, and not individuals who could do the best job and get the most out of the players. And along with that came what I feel is one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to player development. You look at the players that we drafted over the last 6 years and look at where they peaked. You look at where Denzel Valentine has peaked. You look at where Lauri Markkanen has peaked. You look at where Wendell Carter has peaked. You can go down the line and look at where players have peaked and they haven't exceeded where they haven't really gotten any better. And you really can't blame them, and you can't really blame the system that the Bulls play in, but you can look at how come you're not developing these players? How come you can't do with your players what we're watching right now happen in Miami?
Right.
Look at what they've done with Kendrick Nunn and Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson. You know what I'm saying? Hell, I'll even look at what they're doing in Charlotte. With Dante Graham and Markel Bridges. I'm like, look, as bad as Charlotte is, they're doing better with player development than the Chicago Bulls are. There's probably one other team that may not be doing as good as the Bulls, and that's the Knicks.
Right.
The Knicks are just as bad as far as young player development in the league. So, whereas I look at the coaching situation, I think we need to look underneath just who's running the squad and looking beneath, the Gar and Pax control issues that they try to put in place in that coaching position, and look at what they're doing from a player development standpoint, and looking at that as the root of the main problem that the Bulls have. And until we get to that, to me, it doesn't make a damn difference what Billy Donovan is able to do.
Yep, I agree with you 100%.
At some point, you have to get this collective of players that you drafted over the last 6 years to get better.
Yep.
They have to get better. Zach LaVine's a hell of a ball player. I think he's a necessary ball player. I think Billy Donovan and Mo Cheeks and the whole coach staff can shape him to be a better ball player with the way they're able to play and make him understand. But are they going to make those other players better?
Exactly.
That's the thing. And to me, it's not about winning games. It's about getting these players to become better. And they don't even have to get better to stay Chicago Bulls. They can get better just so they can increase their trade value, and maybe we can get some better players in here.
Yeah.
But because they haven't gotten better, when NBA teams don't see growth in young players, they don't want them.
And
you know what I'm saying? They're hard to move, right? They're hard to move.
But like you said, Scoop, I think this starts with the front office, because I think the Bulls are probably have one of the smallest front offices in all of sports, not just the NBA. And player development has always been a thing that the Bulls have lacked. We got close to Sean Resper, who was one of my favorite players in college. Yeah. And, he was helping Denzel. He was like Denzel and Zach LaVine's like personal guy that they, work out with. And he was saying the same thing. Like, I know he's not there anymore, and I don't really want to put like his business out there, but that was one of the things that he told T.
Yeah.
Like, he just didn't agree with some of the ways that the organization was going as far as player development. So I'm with you, man. It's about these guys being able to extend their careers, because I don't see a lot of them being Chicago Bulls, because we already know Patrick Williams is the only guy that these guys are really married to right now. This is basically a trial run. Like you said, Zach, we know who he is. I think he would be a great number 2 on a team that's contending for a title. But the rest of those guys, man, I have no expectations at all for any of those guys.
And it's hard to have. Go ahead, Scoop. Excuse me.
No. I feel him. Go ahead. That's what I'm saying. I feel him on that. But I think we also have to, how can I say this? We have to keep in mind that it's not necessarily all on them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to not have faith in guys. I want to, in order for this to work, we have to have faith in everything that's being done from the office all the way down. Mm-hmm. And, like I said, there's only so much Billy Donovan can do, but let's be really honest about this. And I'll be honest for myself. I don't want to speak for you all. I still have reservations of what Billy Donovan is going to be able to do on 2 fronts. One, on what, even though Gar is gone, the puppet string is still probably there from Paxton's consideration, definitely there with the Rizzo situation.
Yes.
So Paxton's still there. So how much is Billy Donovan going to be able to do what he wants to do as a coach? Because once again, it seems like they hire coaches that they have the final word on and the coach doesn't. But do we really know what we're getting in Billy Donovan? Because the one time we've seen him be successful as a coach at this level was when he had Chris Paul last year.
Right. Yes. Which honestly made me ask.
Did half the coaching.
It made me ask the question: does Billy Donovan know what he's getting himself into?
No, he doesn't.
In Chicago, you know what I mean? On
But
one
not
of the
Chicago,
last.
But how good of a coach is he? Really?
Yes.
Really. Look
Yes.
at now. I'm trying to be fair with him. He inherited when he got to Oklahoma City. He had to learn to coach Russell Westbrook, and this is Russell Westbrook solo. I think he had a year with him. Then they threw Paul George in on him. So now he has to learn how to not only learn to coach Russell Westbrook, but now coach Russell with Paul George. You know, that's not an easy task. Then you take both of them away from him, and now you give him Chris Paul. You know what I'm saying? He's never had any consistency to really
show exactly
us seeing what he could do as a coach.
Yeah.
But when he did get successful, it was when he had probably one of the most cerebral, intelligent point guards of this generation at his helm that did half of the coaching for him on the floor. He doesn't have Chris Paul with him now.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're basing what Billy Donovan can do, it's fair, in all fairness, to him. But it's fair to say we don't know exactly what his capability is, because the one time he's been successful and overachieved as a coach was when he had a second coach on the floor. And that's a guy who's been in the league 13 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Not a second year point guard from North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? He had Chris Paul.
I think, you know, that's why, first of all, two things. I'm way more excited for Mo Cheeks being on that bench
all day
than I am for Billy Donovan. Now, at the same time, I feel like, you know, from a fan's perspective, like you said, Scoop, it's been 20 years since, you know, maybe not, you know, because I don't want to skip over Tom Thibodeau, but Phil Jackson, Tom Thibodeau, that's really it. When it, you know, maybe if you want to throw Scott Skiles in there. But the name Billy Donovan is enough for Bulls fans to jump back on board.
And that shows you, that says a lot to me.
And I think that has something to do with, you know, like you said, I think that's a Jerry Reinsdorf imprint. You know what I mean? And maybe a John Paxson imprint. It's like, let's just give the fans somebody they can feel safe with for now.
Huff.
You know?
Huff.
But on that note, Scoop, before we get you up out of here, we got to get your predictions on NBA awards from, before the season starts. You know, who's your MVP? I'll go first because I think I want to kick it off with a name that I haven't really seen talked about as far as a potential MVP player going into this year. I'm throwing Anthony Davis into that mix. You know what I mean? I feel like Anthony Davis showed and proved that he was the most valuable player on that Lakers team last year, even with LeBron on there. You know, I think that with that ring, Anthony Davis is coming back with another level of focus. You know what I mean? I feel like we about to see another level of Anthony Davis, and I'm really excited to see when he does get on the court for LA. I don't know if he's going to be out there to start with LeBron and everything,
He
but
will.
I'm super excited for Anthony Davis over there in LA right now, you know?
Hey, Scoop, I'm going with my boy that I'm going to go with until he get one.
Come on, I know before you even say it. Video game.
Video game Dame, man. It's his turn. I think what he has to do this year is scale it back a bit. We know he can get 30 a game. We know he can shoot the 30-footer with no problem. I think he has to scale it back a bit, make those guys around him just a bit better, and just take his team to the next level. I'm not saying they going to the championship because that's a stretch, but I feel like Dame has it in the back of his mind that coming off that bubble performance, even though it was just 8 games, I feel like if there's something personal for him to shoot for, I think he has that MVP going in the back of his mind. So that's my pick this year.
That is so funny because those are the two players that I'm like, you know, Anthony Davis, I've heard a lot of people mention, and I think if LeBron is smart, LeBron is going to do to AD now what Dwayne Wade did to him after LeBron's first year in Miami. Well, look, squad. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking a step back. We got to raid together. This is all you. I'm good. I just signed a re-up, but in order for us to do what we got to do, AD, you that guy. Same way Dwayne Wade did LeBron, and you saw what happened once he did that. LeBron like, cool. You know, AD got it out of the system. He don't have to play back. Like, he don't have to get to know anybody. LeBron and Noor did, like, this is my thing now. I agree. He's probably going to, you know, I think he's the front runner at that position to win the MVP if that happens, because I think he's in more conversations about getting the MVP than Dame is. My personal choice would be Dame. That's the one I think people aren't mentioning. I think probably will at least play himself into the top 3 MVP conversation. I think he may have the best season of anybody this year.
There we go.
Period. You know, and it doesn't matter what he does to win the championship, because the MVP vote is going to happen during the regular season.
Period.
But it's Dame, and maybe he does average 30. You know, but maybe it's a more efficient, situation.
Yeah,
and maybe Portland does, do what they've done, not last year because they came in as an 8 seed, but the couple of years before that, they always overachieved. Maybe because everybody's healthy, they got everybody back. They understand what Melo's there. They got old boy Zach. They got everything in place to do what they have to do. And Dame could be like, all right, I can just do Dame. And I think that puts itself in the conversation. And now Steph's back to challenge him for that best point guard conversation or whatever. So we're going to see Dame raised to another level, I believe. So he's on my list too, as is Kevin Durant. And I think just watching how easy the game still is for him and how impossible it's going to be for teams to defend against Brooklyn, because who the hell do you focus on? He or Kyrie?
Exactly.
It's don't get ugly.
Right,
problems all over,
Right. And I think, KD will find that inner drive to prove to us that you all are still out here talking shit about me.
Right.
After even what I did in Golden State, because when people throw shade at KD for going over there, I look at it differently. For you to go over to one of the greatest teams of this era, any era, TD won 73 games, that was in the conversation for being the best team ever. For you to go over there and become the best player.
Period.
I'm like, yo, that to me was a task of itself. Like, for you to overtake like Steph Curry, who became generational, like, Steph is good, but I'm gonna show you what great is. For you to do that on that squad, man, that takes a whole another level of greatness. So I think he's bringing that back in after missing the time that he did miss, feeling he still got to prove. So
I agree.
Those are my 3. Yeah, KD, Dame, Anthony Davis. Not in any particular order, though.
Right.
Not in any particular order. But dark horse in this, don't be stupid now. And
exactly.
I like Luka. I like Luka.
No, Luka is an animal. Luka is an animal.
But that dude D-Book,
Hey man.
I'm so happy you said that,
Scoop. Hey man. I've been
especially
trying to tell these people
over there now.
I've been trying to tell these people the last 2 years about D-Book, bro.
Dude, let them get anything over 8 seed and he lead the league in scoring.
No, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
No,
and quiet as kept. Don't let Atlanta get to the playoffs and Trae Young have the numbers he did last year.
30 and 11.
That dude averaged 30 and 10.
Yeah, man.
30 and 10.
He did.
Woo. Look, if they get an A seed in the East and he gives you those same numbers, we can end the conversation with him. Trust on that.
Hey, you better listen to the man, Scoop Jackson. Man, Scoop, thank you so much for jumping on the Sawyer with us, man. I know it won't be the last time. I'm looking forward to digging back in.
Wait.
Go ahead, Scoop. Go ahead.
We can't have a conversation who's going to win MVP about y'all backing out of who's going to win the chip.
Yeah, Scoop, who you thinking, man? Because I'm thinking.
I'm asking y'all. No, I'm flipping this script. This table's a flip right now.
Man, Scoop, I'm thinking it's going to be a rerun of last year. I think the Lakers are going back to back, man. LeBron, AD got a hold on the league right now, and because of what we said about Kyrie and KD in the East, it being their first run at this, I think that the Lakers still have that edge. I'm taking them on day -1 of the season to run it back and win a second straight championship.
I'm taking KD and Kyrie. If they stay healthy, give me the Brooklyn Nets. Give me the Brooklyn Nets. I'm looking for KD to have the second greatest playoff performance in the history of basketball behind Big Mike.
Ooh, that's a prediction for you. Scoop?
I'm actually going for Miami.
I like that, man.
Me too.
And the only reason I'm going for Miami is because I think Jimmy Butler has the power to convince them that everybody in the world is sleeping on them. Everybody. I think he can look the way he talked them into overachieving last
year, right?
They totally did.
Right. Now he's gonna Jedi mind trick them into believing that man, this whole world telling us we ain't shit.
The mind is a powerful thing, man.
And honestly, Jimmy Butler made a believer out of me. You know what I mean? I definitely can't go out of that one.
Exactly. And you get Bam there, you get now they're gonna know how to play Kendrick and Tyler Hero at the same time. Jogic being, I'm telling you, I think once the playoffs start, I'm not saying they're gonna do it in the regular season. I think once the playoffs starts, they're gonna be a hard team to beat. And if they face LA again, I'm gonna have to put my chips on them. That hunger, I believe in that hunger factor sometimes.
Man, I would love that. You know what I mean? I thought that Miami Lakers finals was more than I expected. If we get a round 2 of that one, sign me up. You know, Scoop?
I feel you.
But Scoop, man, thank you so much for jumping on the soil with us. You know it means the world to me personally, man. Me and Gene say all the time we wouldn't be here without people like you pushing us forward and giving us a path to walk in. So, man, Scoop, anytime, you know, we talk NBA, you're going to be at the top of my mind for people we want to talk to. So I hope we can do this again, you know?
Oh, man, anytime. You know, like I said, you got my number. You know, and it ain't even got to be NBA, man. We got a lot of stuff going on in this city, in this world concerning us. You know, we can sit down and chop it up on anything. Anything y'all want, I'm here. I'm good.
Much love to you, brother. We appreciate you more than you know, man.
Nah, same to you, Jen. All right, T. Y'all be
yes,
good.
Sir, Scoop.
I appreciate y'all. Love, no doubt.
Talk to you soon.
Sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
WIIFTBPN.
Our black-owned business. We're hanging out this morning with Michael Drayton. We're talking money. Talk to me about investments and your viewpoint on Robinhood and somebody looking to get started in investments.
The Robinhood phenomenon is an app that was initially created so that people can sort of get involved in stocks by buying what's called partial shares, right? You know, at one point, Tesla stock was over 1,000, heading up some ridiculous price, 2,000, and it split, right? Perhaps the share was too expensive for the average person to buy one share. So Robinhood said, let them buy $50 worth of this particular share to give them access. People started doing what is called trading, which is what I do. Trading is primarily short-term holding. You enter the stock, hope it goes up, and you take the money out. Or I won't get into some of the other strategies. So what this phenomena did create is a new class of investors that took Wall Street off guard. Basically, it was all of this new money coming in. And a lot of the money came in from the stimulus checks, by the way, because people were at home and they needed something to do. They weren't as privy to DraftKings as they are now, because DraftKings is a betting application. Two things. Anytime you get money, whether it's $1 and I can't give specifics out for legal reasons, but there's only two ways you're really making money. You're making money based on appreciation, or you're making money based upon interest coming in. If you're looking for income streams, you have to find money that is paying interest. If you're looking to hold long term, you want to look at more equity long positions with the hopes of the market going up, which is why people buy real estate. Robinhood is but one application that is able to do that. Underlining issues are Wall Street sort of dismissed the Robinhood culture when it started. They're uneducated investors. They don't know what they're doing. They're just following the trend or whoever. And what happened is Robinhood investors ended up creating this scenario where the market started going up because there's so much buying going on and so much activity going in.
Hey, Miller, and I'm rocking with the Bigs.
Hey, this is Jason Kidd, and we're rocking with the Bigs.
I'm Chris Bryant from the Chicago Cubs, and I'm rocking with the Bigs.
This is Mark Cuban, Dallas Mavericks. You're rocking with the Bigs.
Take
Take notice, the Entourage DJs are taking over the game. The Midwest invasion is here, and the true Midwest mixtape king is giving it to you. It's DJ G-Spot banging your mixtapes right now.
You are now listening to the Myth Mixtape. DJ G-Spot and Mick Lou, Chi-Town's finest.
We are back on the soil. You know we couldn't get out of here without talking about your boy.
Hey, man, we running out of time. It's cool, because I'm not having this little piece of conversation about what my boy did yesterday. He called the kickoff kickback. Maze heard him. Mitch
Twice,
called the
boy.
kickoff
Yes.
kickback yesterday, right before he went on stage in Minnesota and told us he was coming back. Matter of fact, is Mitch? Hey, man, matter of fact.
About to say, we had a...
Let me turn my phone.
I think your phone was on silent. They may be call. I knew he was calling back any
Hold
second. Who is that, bro?
Hello? Mitch, what up, Joe? Are you on the soil with us? Hey, man. I appreciate what you did for me. I tried to tell Terrence yesterday, these guys in the studio back there, they wasn't listening. Me and Herb Howard had your back.
I got a joint roll for Mitch. Mitch, I got a pre-roll for you for celebration. My bad, bro.
We got a
playoffs, bro. Bear down, fam.
We got a pre-roll for you, Mitch, waiting on you, man. We'll touch down with you at Hollis Hall on Wednesday. I appreciate you for hitting us up on the soil, man. But we got to get back to the show, so get this victory for us coming Sunday against Jacksonville. I'll holler back at you, bro.
Gino, honestly, bro, they handled business yesterday. You know what I mean?
Hey, look, man, I'm going to just tell it like this. We got 2 minutes left, and we can just end the show. I want you to give your shout-outs, because when we come back Wednesday, we're going to have this full Bears conversation, man.
Yeah, man, you know what? I like that idea, man. So before I get up out of here, I got to shout out my cousins, man. I know the people don't know, man, I am the oldest of 7. You feel me? 7 nephews and nieces in my family, man, and today is a special day in our world. Keeping up a family tradition, man, of finding ways to give back during the Christmas season, man. So while I'm here doing the show with my brother Eugene, my brother Terrell, my brother Rook, Trey, Dorian, Dior, Chanel, they holding it down, man, passing out toys to kids who don't have that, man. So I gotta shout them out, man. I'm there with y'all in spirit. I'm proud of y'all for keeping up the family tradition, man, and I can't wait to see y'all after this, man. I know y'all are rolled and ready. Let's do it.
Peace to the family, man. Peace to the family. And, hey, man, I got food to give away. If y'all know a shelter or a food depository y'all can go, I got 3 boxes of food to give away,
yes, sir.
Canned goods and all type of stuff. So hit me up, let me know. Or I just hit my best friend Google and see where I can go drop some food off to the less fortunate. So
absolutely,
we
it's
in the
essential.
spirit, man. Shout out to our boy DJ holding it down back
yes,
there.
Sir.
I know Two and Herb called our guy back there who is the white boy. What's his name? John?
Mike.
Mike. Shout out to Mike back there holding us down.
That was a good guess, man.
John, Mike, yeah, you know how it is, man. But yeah, shout out to them guys doing all the hard work. Up next, man, we got our family members. I said what I said. Cousin 2, Herb Howard, the third member of the Kickoff Kickback. And they in the building every Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. So stay tuned. Stay in tune with the What's in It for the Black People Media. And like I said, when we return back on the soil Wednesday, we going to talk Bears, man, because I saw a lot of comments yesterday that wasn't messing with Mitch.
Got to address it.
Money making Mitch,
we was quiet yesterday. On that note, we just got down on the soil. Another installment. We'll see y'all Wednesday, man.
Much love to Scoop Jackson, man. Peace out. Much love.
All my bitches love me, all my niggas hustle.